In this video, we're going to look at a technique of polynomial long division. What we want to do is we want to be able to determine if we have factors that evenly divide a certain polynomial. In other words, we want to be able to factor this out by finding its perfect factors. You may remember long division from your grade school. Oh, let's make something up here. Let's take this and divide that by 3. So you set up your long division. And remember the technique that we use. How many times does 3 go into 4? Well, that goes in 1 time. And then you do 1 times 3 is 3. Then you subtract those 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. And you bring down the 5. Let's look at how many times 3 goes into 15. That is 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. It gives us 0 when we subtract them. Let's bring down the 3. How many times does 3 go into 3? That goes in once. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract those, and we get 0. We also have a remainder of 0. So this evenly divides it, and that's what we're really looking for here when we're doing our polynomial long division. So what we want to do, let's test, and we'll see if x plus 1 is a factor. So we set up for our long division. When you set it up, you want to make sure that you have a placeholder for every single term that you have. We have a cubic term, we have squared, we have a linear term, we have a constant term, so we're good to go here. Put down my bracket, put down my divisor. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see how many times does x go into x cubed. In other words, what do I have to multiply x by to get it to equal x cubed? Well, that's going to be x squared. Now I'm going to do x squared times x is x cubed. I'm going to do x squared times 1, and that's going to be x squared. You have to switch the signs here, just like we did over here where we subtracted. I'm going to switch any signs that I have here and here, and then I'm going to subtract them. This will always cancel out. This over here is going to be x squared. 2x squared minus x squared gives me just x squared. I'm going to bring down the minus 5x. Great. How many times does x go into x squared? Well, that's going to be plus x times. Now I'm going to do x times x is going to be x squared. X times 1 is going to be 1. I'm going to make sure I switch my signs here and here so that I can subtract. Put my line here. X squared minus x squared, that's going to be 0. Minus 5x minus 1x is going to be minus 6x. And then I'm going to bring down my minus 6 here. And then I do the process again. How many times does x go into minus 6x? In other words, what do I have to multiply x by to make it equal minus 6x? And that's going to be minus 6. Great. Minus 6 times x, minus 6x, minus 6 times 1, minus 6. Remember, we're going to switch our signs. So I'm going to make both of these positive now. I'm going to subtract through, and I get a remainder of 0. So indeed, this cubic here is evenly divisible by x minus 1. In fact, I can write it now as x plus 1, times x squared plus x minus 6 is equal to this right here. So this begins a process in which I can begin to factor this cubic into a quadratic and this term. Now, we have techniques where we can keep factoring this. We can use the quadratic formula, we can use factoring, and so on and so forth. But let's do a different example where we're going to test to see in the same polynomial whether a different factor works or not. So let's try x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6, and I want to see if x minus 3 is a factor. Great, so I'm going to do the same technique that I did before. Does x go into x cubed? Sure, x squared times x is going to give me x cubed. X squared times minus 3 is minus 3x squared. Switch the signs here and here. Add down through. I'm going to get 5x squared minus 5x. Now I want to see, does x go into 5x squared? Sure does. Plus 5x times x is going to be 5x squared. Remember that you want to have these match all the time. Plus 5x times minus 3 is going to be minus 15x. Switching the signs again, here and here. Now I'm going to add it through. I'm going to get plus 10x. I'm going to bring down the minus 6 here. How many times does x go into 10x? 10 times. 10 times x, 10x. 10 times minus 3, minus 30. Switch the signs here and here. And this is going to give me 24. Here, I have a remainder, so it's not evenly divisible. That doesn't mean I don't have an answer. I can write my answer as the quotient that I have up here. Plus, and whenever you did this in grade school, you would just add any remainder that you have here. But because we're using a polynomial expression, it's got to be whatever we end up with divided by our divisor that we have. Now, this expression here is actually the same as this expression right here, times x minus 3, of course.